Most of us do not drive under the influence, but the same logic does not apply online. And this is why I want to talk to you today about cybersecurity. I was working with someone in cybersecurity, and one day he said that he hated governance, risk, and compliance, which is actually an area that centers people, process, human behavior, and risk awareness. And when I asked him why, his reason was very simple. He said, people should just have common sense. People should not just do rational things. But that's not how really humans work. Humans make risky decisions every single day. We take risks to grow and to move forward. The issue is that we often do not assess risk properly because we do not fully understand the factors of our environment. And actually, the digital environment has changed, and I hate saying this, in an unprecedented speed, significantly in the last decade. What actually happens is that the psychology of being online is very different from the psychology of everyday physical life. In day-to-day life, most of us naturally are vigilant in ways we do not even think about. Most people generally understand that if you are not in the right state, physical and mental state, you should not be doing something that requires attention and caution and awareness, like driving, for example. Most of us do not drive under the influence, but the same logic does not apply online. And this is why I want to talk to you today about cybersecurity. Because the online world creates this strange mix of safety and overstimulation. So you are both physically safe, or at least you feel so, because you are sitting in your home or your office or on a train, which is a familiar environment. And then you are doing familiar things like scrolling on your phone or working on your laptop, checking messages or replying to emails, essentially doing familiar things. And that familiarity reduces vigilance. So at the same time, you're being flooded with information. You have emails coming in, Teams and Slack messages, whatever you use, notification, pop-ups, calls, reminders, and dog wants to go for a walk, and your children need to be fed, and your dating app thing, you get all excited. Now, in the physical world, vigilance is supported by cues like tone of voice and facial expression and atmosphere, or just a gut feeling that the place just feels wrong, right? But online, many of those cues disappear. So malicious messages look like every other messages, especially with the Gen AI-powered scams. They blend into normal, familiar activities, and it makes online risks seem more ordinary, less urgent than physical risk, even if the consequences are serious. So to give you an example from the real world, hypothetically, just imagine in the morning, it's like 7 a.m., you're leaving your house to walk your dog, as you've been doing for the last 20 years you've been living in this neighborhood, it's all good. Your vigilance is lower because everything feels normal and familiar. But suddenly, your boss, let's say, who lives in another state, just jumps in front of you and asks you to share some sensitive information about your client. Now, that would probably put you in a state of panic, but also a lot of confusion. Like, you would have so many questions to ask him, like, what are you doing here? It's like 7 a.m. Do I need to actually give you an answer now? Why are you in my personal space? Like, why are you so obsessed with me, right? And the point is that you would instantly recognize that something about it is very wrong. But online, your boss can message you or email you at 7 a.m. asking for the same thing. And you might still panic, but about the main task, like client's details, not the oddity of the timing and the intrusion, or the fact that this is very unusual. Nothing physical is jumping out at you. Your body is not reacting the same way it would if someone suspicious approached you on the street. And so the way your brain works, it actually prioritizes what is your most immediate stressor, which is the task at hand and not security cues. And then, of course, to add insult to injury, we have the cognitive psychology as well of reducing our ability to concentrate when we have so many tasks. Like in the real world, if you're in a meeting, it usually means a room and a boundary. But online, it feels like you are in the same meeting while people are continuously opening this door. They walk in, interrupt you, they hand you notes and ask you questions. They want you to instantly respond to them. And you are still meant to pay full attention to the person in front of you. And this is the reality now of online work. So cognitive psychology actually tells us that the more you switch between tasks, the worse your performance gets, the worse your attention gets. And would you notice, for example, if your colleague is wearing 2 different shoes? So if you compare this to online, so like take phishing, for example, to identify a phishing email, you may need to look at the send a domain, notice whether like a letter has been replaced from a different alphabet, pay attention to the tone of the message, the urgency, grammar, layout, the links, however, over them, attachments. Does the message make sense? And that is so much to ask already of anyone. And now add the cognitive overload that we are constantly under and the time pressure. You have a perfectly rational response actually from the brain, which unfortunately leads to us not listening to those cues that keep us safe online. And lastly, social engineering is so much easier online because the perpetrator does not need to mimic those physical cues like eye contact or even smell that keep us safe. At the same time, we have something that is called the online disinhibition effect. And this term was coined about 2 decades ago, actually, when researchers found that humans behave more freely online, especially when they feel anonymous, invisible, or detached from consequences. And this effect is often discussed in relation to human-enabled cyber harms like cyberbullying and stalking, deepfake abuse, oversharing. The online world does not have the same normal physical boundaries, and it does not always have what we criminologists would call a capable guardian watching over, right? So people feel invisible. They feel like, oh, it's just me and my device. It's private. I'm so safe. So even if you are sending nudes like on a fully packed train, you still feel this way. And what can we do about it? Here is a small checklist that you can take from this video the next time you're online, or I guess right now. So first of all, do the most important thing like paying bills requiring security focus in the morning or early in the day. Put yourself on do not disturb if you can. Protect your cognitive energy. Second, do not assume people will not look over your shoulder. Maybe hold off checking that bank transfer until you get off the bus. Third, when you go online, start thinking about it like leaving the house for the day. And if you are doing something very important, think of it like driving your car. This will actually activate your vigilant state. And if you are already in that overwhelmed state and have to do some important online task, then breathe, okay? Give your brain some oxygen. If you can't breathe, sing. Like I literally sing national anthems because it makes me take deep breaths. If you can, even like switch your environment, go outside. This will activate your physical vigilance state. And the more you do these things, the more you will train your body and your mind to notice the security cues, to not be in that state of overwhelm, and to build cyber resilience. If you like this video, please make sure to hit subscribe for more content on how to stay safe online with a focus on the human factor of cybersecurity.